Yeah, yeah, you sound great. Is that on air or off air?
Off air, that's on here. So
Hey, I would like an Australian accent whenever you're off air.
yeah, you want an Australian accent?
Hey, people are saying,
I need to get that.
I've got memories and travel like gypsies in the night. Bum, 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 bum.
Yep.
Dan Dockich unfollowed me?
What?
No, and then he just followed me back. Oh, what's going on?
Yeah, it might have been an accident.
Are we live on the zone right now?
1 minute.
Because
Interesting advantage.
this is our life, right?
Yeah. You have to beat Jesus, right?
And it's now or never. What's today's date?
Today is the 26th.
Can you play Chase Rice? No, no, no. My dad said you can hear us on the zone. If you can hear us on the internet, just know that we literally just got connected 35 seconds ago. It's all right? 15 seconds till we're live. Let's do it. By the way, this is really fucking badass right here. Good morning. It is Thursday, September 26, 2019. We are coming to you live from a box truck in Memphis, Tennessee, a city that I did not know much about until last evening. We learned about this entire town. Today we got some great talking points. Is Matt Nagy the meanest, most rudest coach of all time because he told his starting quarterback in an NFL game to shut the fornicate up? I texted some old teammates of mine asking them to tell me the meanest thing that a coach has ever said to them, and I believe they will pale in comparison to what Nagy said to Mitchell Trubisky. Kyle Long laughed off the dong shot, which is awesome for him, being a great teammate, making Tariq Cohen, who already feels terrible about himself, just feel a little bit better. Eagles-Packers tonight, we got a poll of the people going on the Twitter, at Pat McAfee Show, hashtag Pat McAfee Show Live. If you want to join the show, Zito will be picking questions from there. We got a lot to talk about. Is Jalen Ramsey actually an incredibly selfless and incredible teammate? Nobody's talking about that. What if he was actually sick? What if he just wants to watch his daughter be born? What if he wants to be a Jaguar and we're just taking it all out of context? Doug Marone laughed off a couple jokes, made it all happen. Hopefully we'll make you laugh today. Our job today is to inform, inspire, entertain, and give you a hell of a 2 hours. Foxy, play some Chase Rice.
It's the perfect occasion for a little vacation from the heart of the nation. Not your medication, 2 hours of magic. Let's give it a go. Ladies and gents, it's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat
So loud.
McAfee Show.
Yes, it is Chase Rice. Thank you so much. He is going on tour. Feel free to go check out that handsome man right there. That was very loud in my ears. I assume we might have blown out your speakers wherever you are, but we thank you for listening or watching around the globe or on a Westwood One station right here in America. Joining me in the box truck that is incredibly air-conditioned, shout out to Tim McAfee for making that happen, is Frankie Moraldo. Frank, how you doing?
Fantastic. We got no Wi-Fi. It's great.
I don't know how this show ever happens. We got Ty Schmidt on the ones and twos in the back. Evan Foxy running video, and Zito is here as well. It's a beautiful morning. It's a beautiful day, and it's a great time to talk about this Matt Nagy, Mitchell Trubisky situation, controversy that the internet is spinning. Now, we live in a world that is very soft. We all know that. We live in a soft world. The world has gotten softer due to analytics, stats, all that stuff. The smarter people have gotten, the softer people have gotten. It feels like that is the potential case. Joe Rogan went on an entire bit about how aliens are potential just future humans because humans no longer have to do hard work because technology handles everything. So their muscle structure and everything just kind of whittles away. So aliens are potentially just 3,000 years ahead of what humans are going to become. That was a very deep take by him. I was very high when I heard it, but it's potentially a real thing. I mean, people are potentially getting soft. And I think the internet is a platform for softness. I think the vocal minority of people who are offended by everything find the internet a perfect place to display all their anger for everything. Whenever there was a moment captured between Matt Nagy and Mitchell Trubisky on the sideline of their Monday Night Football game in which they were dominating the Washington Redskins, which, by the way, the loud vocal minority got off the Redskins thing. They kind of gave up on that. The wave hit Snyder hard. Snyder said, I'm not changing the name. Go to hell. They're like, no, you are. You're a terrible guy. You're a terrible guy. And then they kind of got off of that. Now the thing that is being talked about in the sports world is Matt Nagy trying to motivate Mitchell Trubisky. Now, as anybody who has ever played in a competitive anything, has ever been in a sporting world, has ever been a part of a athletic event knows that coaches, whenever they're speaking to players, can sometimes be a bit savage, a bit ruthless. There's a lot on the line. They are investing their time. They're investing their emotions. They're investing their entire life into something. So whenever there isn't a performance that they feel that you are capable of doing, they're going to express that. Now, granted, coaches are not Billy Shakespeare. You're not going to have these wordsmiths that are coaching football, but you are going to have incredible leaders of men. Some aren't. There's some terrible coaches out there. I've heard horror stories, especially in my text messages I sent to a couple of my teammates asking for the worst thing that's ever been said to them. Anonymously, I want to read it on my show. There's been some coaches who have said some terrible things to some of my old teammates. But as a player, when you're in that moment, just like what Mitchell Trubisky said, that is something that you want. That is something that you love. Every coach I've ever been around said, once I stop talking to you, that's when you need to worry because I have given up completely on you, and I think you're a complete sack of trash. So when Matt Nagy gets in Mitchell Trubisky's face and says, you need to shut the fornicate up right now and step the fornicate up, I believe. I mean, I'm no lip reader. I do know some sign language, but I'm no lip reader, but I believe that's what he said to him. That is a moment that I assume Mitchell Trubisky and Matt Nagy will cherish. That is a moment that they probably have on the practice field. That is a moment I assume that they're not scared to have in the public eye. And right now, that's a moment that people just need to lay off it. The only people that are talking about this in a negative light are the people who have never played a sport. And if they did play a sport, they stunk at the sport, and the coaches, instead of talking to them, they quit on talking to them and decided to quit on them, which means they saw no hope in that person's future and decided not to coach them. I would argue that a coach telling me, which has happened, believe it or not, a coach has told me to shut the fornicate up numerous times. Believe it or not, coaches have told me in 3 different sports, by the way. I've been told by coaches to, whether I'm talking to a ref, like in a volleyball game, I was getting into it with a ref in high school. I didn't even know the rules, and I think that's what my coach, Coach Nonnenberg, was informing me. He's like, Pat, you don't even know the rules. I'm like, you know what? I think he's wrong, though. I think he's wrong. Pat, that's just not the time. In football, I was told it. In soccer, I was told it by basically every coach I've ever had as a kid. And in football, I literally had been told it by every coach I'd ever had. I would argue that that's the most docile thing a coach can say to a player. And this is a reason why. And in the NFL, it is much more man-to-man. It is much more you're on an even playing field between coaches and players. It is much more we're in this together as opposed to I'm above you talking down to you. In college, you're basically in a coach's dictatorship who's controlling your entire life, your schedule, your weights, what you're eating, your classes, everything like that. College coaches are talking down to players because it's still that coach-player relationship. Once you get to the NFL, it's more like, hey, we're in this together. We're all trying to succeed for each other. We're men. But sometimes you got to remember who's in charge, who's making the decisions, and ultimately who's trying to motivate somebody to be their best self. And if that's how Nagy feels that Mitchell Trubisky is going to react his best, I respect it. There was a time in my life there where I was much better whenever I was angry. Tom McMahon, my special teams coach, he came to the Indianapolis Colts, and he made me my best me because he knew how to push my buttons to get me mad. He utilized something that he knew I hated, which was potentially the general manager of the team that we were currently playing for, and he would just walk by, sly, say something to me. I'm like, well, why are you going to say that? He's like, I didn't say it. I mean, this is what I was told. I'm like, well, go to hell. He's like, hey, I'm just telling you. He knew that the way to get me going was to poke the fire a little bit, poke the bear, and do that. And then there was a year as I got a little bit older where it was like, hey, whenever I'm calm is whenever I'm at my best. When I'm laughing, having a good time, and Tom McMahon would adjust with me. He would swing with me. That's what makes a good coach. Mitchell Trubisky backed up Matt Nagy by saying, hey, I loved it. That's what fires me up. That's what gets me going. I think as somebody who's outside the building watching, I think we should trust that Matt Nagy knows how to talk to Mitchell Trubisky. And anybody like Jason McIntyre who tweeted like, oh, maybe in a meeting room you could say that, but not on national TV. Shut up. Shut up. Just shut up. Like, there's no reason for you to just take a hike, cuz. Because I think coaching is something that is a true art. I think it is something that is a selfless, just like teachers, just like anybody who is put in a position to lead people. If people are good at it, if they have the ability to reach people, and if they have this quote yesterday was incredible. I got a chance to talk to Coach Norvell of the University of Memphis Tigers.
Oh, look at you going to your notes.
Going straight to my notes here. He said, the only thing that's important about coaching is what can you do to inspire folks to be better than what they are? That's what coaches try to do. Now, some coaches make it all about themselves. Some coaches are very selfish. Some coaches only care about the money they can win, blah, blah, blah. But a large majority of coaches sign up to coach not for any of that. They sign up because they love the kids. They love making boys better men. They like making girls better women. They like making the world a better place. And I hate the fact that people are coming down on coaching, especially when I've been told by a coach or two that I potentially should have ended up in a sock or a towel in my dad's bedroom. Okay? That's a savage remark. Almost laughed whenever it was said to me. Couldn't in the heat of the moment. Had to kind of had to eat that one. Which was also said to me, but that was like that was a moment where I was like, oh, what a savage line. But I could tell because of my relationship with the person that was saying it, like, oh, this person is very upset with how I'm performing because I'm not performing to my best capability. And a lot of people be like, you should have more respect for yourself. Well, what I think we should have a lot more respect for is that man trying to make me a better person. And I would argue that if it wasn't for tough coaching in certain times, I would not have made it to the person I was. I was a pretty rather large douche there for a while in my life. And coaching can humble you, coaching can build you, and coaching can make you better. And I think that's all Matt Nagy wants to do.
You made a great point there, too. It's not as if Trubisky is a victim in this case. Like, this is what he signed up for. The coach-quarterback relationship, especially, if you don't have the context of that and you just catch that out of the blue, you have no ability to comment on the situation. Yeah. And your word carries no weight.
Right. Yeah. And, I mean, obviously, all the indication you needed that this guy's never been in a locker room or played, anywhere before is that someone dropping an F-bomb would offend him that much. It's like we saw from those texts that you sent, way too explicit to say on air. Like, that, what he said to Trubisky is nothing in reference to what he could have said.
I think it's the most docile thing that a coach can really say to somebody. And by the way, friends say it to friends, too. Mm-hmm. So I kind of argue that this dude's life sucks, this guy. Like, this guy needs better friends, I think. You know what I mean? Because if anybody's ever said it to this guy, he'd be like, I probably should do that. Like, there's people who still say that to me. I would start popping off about something like, Pat, shut the... And I'm like, well, I don't like it. I don't like it. They're like, well, you need... It's just, I think that is... It's been overblown, which everything is, because we got a lot of people talking about a lot of things where they know nothing about it. The people that are talking about it aren't really they've never been in the competitive atmosphere. They've never really succeeded in sports, but they probably love sports. So you have to respect it. And they're like, well, we can make it better if we get rid of this stuff and blah, blah, blah. But sometimes you don't need to see how the sausage is made. You just need to eat the damn sausage. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to see how this player became. Like, in college, we had a kid who, I think every scholarship was pulled from him because he got arrested for something, like 2 months before he came to West Virginia. He was a little bit of a wild card, I think people would say. He gets to West Virginia. He gets some very hard coaching his first 2 years, almost boot camp militant-like. Now that kid is set up for a path of success. He's in a financial world where he had to change and transform. And I would argue that without the coaching from the strength staff to his individual positional coach to like being hard on him to make him want to be better, he's probably a waste of life at this point, if I had to guess. He's probably a wasted life. And those stories probably come in the millions, if I had to guess, whenever we're talking about all sports. I just don't think we should saw down coaches. I think we should put them in the same light. Now, granted, they get paid a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Not all of them. high school coaches are out there mopping gym floors and stuff so they can just hopefully help and make it to somewhere. But I think coaches deserve a lot more credit than they get from a lot of people. And I also believe that this situation needs to be of the past. Speaking of the past, is Jalen Ramsey's time in Jacksonville done? He just got out of town to go see his daughter. Do we not have music? We do. Good news. We didn't know if we had music.
Well, maybe.
We don't. There we go. Is Jalen Ramsey's time in Jacksonville over? Whenever he goes and watches his daughter be born, the miracle of birth, will he ever come back to Duval? That's what they say about Duval County. I guess Jacksonville is in Duval County, which I respect a lot that they have a war cry like that. Is Jalen Ramsey a terrible human being? Is Jalen Ramsey the worst player that has ever been on an NFL team? Is Jalen Ramsey, who showed up in the Brinks truck, a distraction to the Jacksonville Jaguars? Or, on the flip side, is he the greatest teammate of all time? We'll dive into that on the other side. You're listening to The Pat McAfee Show.
Lion's pride lives in my chest. Ain't no man put me to the test. Ain't no doubt that I'm the best. I'm a knockout. There's no doubt. I'm a champion.
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show here on this beautiful Thursday, September 26, 2019. First seg there, I got a chance to give a diatribe on the Matt Nagy, Mitchell Trubisky situation. I just don't love the fact that hard coaching, which, by the way, that is not hard coaching what he did. I think if he would have grabbed him like old Jimbo did, I could see why people might be alarmed. Although I've seen a lot worse than that. I don't think that should be promoted one bit. But I do believe sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Especially in the coaching world, you can motivate folks with good words. Now, we have the poll the people up on the internet, on Twitter right now. A large majority of people think the Packers are winning tonight, mostly because Aaron Rodgers and that defense look flawless. Aaron does not look flawless yet.
He doesn't.
But that defense looks flawless, and it's at Lambeau. Legendary sight. Whenever you think of Lambeau Field, you think of Steve Sable and NFL Films coming to you live from the frozen tundra in Green Bay, Wisconsin. You just hop in a time-traveling vessel and go back in time to the beginning of football, and you think about old Cuzzy Curly Lambeau, who started the Green Bay Packers way back in the day, got into a beef with the city, I think, a couple of times, but nothing but an honorable place to play football. It's going to be broadcasted on Thursday Night Football by Fox and NFL Network. On ESPN, I'll be calling the Navy-Memphis game, which is also going to be good. So if this game tonight gets out of hand, please feel free to come over to ESPN. Me, Hasselbeck, Adam Amin, and Molly McGrath will be calling Navy-Memphis. That should be a good game as well. A lot of people thinking the Packers are going to get a win tonight. And I respect that because I'm a big Aaron Rodgers guy. Got a picture of him up in our studio.
Mm-hmm.
Won a golf championship with him down in the Bahamas. By the way, T's and P's to the Bahamas, still battling after Hurricane Dorian went in there and decided to wreck shop.
Mm-hmm.
Don't love that. But I think the Philadelphia Eagles, and I've said this on numerous occasions, they're two drops away from being an undefeated football team. Thursday Night Football, not a lot of time to prepare. It's kind of just like who's going to go out there and make plays, which would argue Aaron Rodgers is going to go out there and make plays. Is tonight the night that the Green Bay Packers offense explodes like James Jones said yesterday they are so close to doing? But also, on the flip side, is this the game where the Philadelphia Eagles offense stops kicking themselves in the toe? Is this the game where they pull a rabbit out of their head? Is this the game where they can finally stop shooting themselves in the hand and really make a play for that Philadelphia Eagles fan base that got a chance to ride such a high a couple years ago and has been nothing but stink since then?
This game, I feel like Foxy and I were talking about this, has all the makings for Rodgers to come out and just light it up. Like, they were talking all week on all these other shows, like, oh, Rodgers is over the hill, he's done, he's not good anymore. I mean, we know the guy pretty well. You know, he's one of your best friends.
Amen.
He may not respond to this stuff, but he's hearing all of it, and he'll respond on the field.
His big thing, and we have a shirt that says it, he told me a quote down in the Bahamas when I asked him, like, hey, a lot of bad things get said about you, about people. And not bad as in, like, actually bad. It's all ancillary garbage, which is basically what is our world now. We live in the ancillary garbage world. Is Matt Nagy saying, shut the fornicate up? Is that acceptable? Is Jalen Ramsey a bad guy? This is all ancillary garbage, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And in a lot of this ancillary garbage that happens, Aaron Rodgers gets bad things said about him. They're like, oh, he's a bad teammate. His family doesn't even like him. Well, did you ever think, like, maybe his brother is a raging tool bag that he doesn't
like? His brother is a stooge and a sellout.
Well, I don't know that.
Proportion.
I'm just saying these are all options. And any other human like Baker who responded to Rex Ryan that we'll get to in a little bit, Aaron never addresses any of this publicly. Never. Which, by the way, I think could be viewed as a very professional way of going about
He's above
things.
it all.
But he literally said with a straight face, I kill him with indifference, Pat. And I didn't know what indifference meant, so I Googled it, and I was like, oh, that is an incredible way to look at things, because whenever you do that, it just pains the people that are looking for a response from you. But Aaron Rodgers is a man that if he gets doubted, normally comes out and does it. All you got to do is go back and watch the opener last year against the Chicago Bears.
Bear done.
when he got hurt in the first half, they were down like 21. And then at halftime, he popped out of the locker room like Jesus coming out of that cave and completely saved the Packers in miraculous fashion. It's like whenever Aaron Rodgers is doubted, it seems like Aaron Rodgers performs his best. Right now, everybody's talking about, oh, the defense is good. Aaron Rodgers is the 26th rated quarterback in the NFL right now. Somebody said that. Somebody said Gardner Minshew is a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers, strictly because they are paid to say dumb things into microphones. Strictly. Gardner Minshew, his mustache is second to Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
And I hope that Gardner Minshew is like, if I can end up like Aaron Rodgers more, I would like to do that. So the people that are saying Gardner Minshew is better than Aaron Rodgers are absolute
stooges and sellouts.
It sounds like a recording at this point.
Oh, I know. It's beautiful.
That is live every time. One more time.
Stooge and sellout.
Shout out to Mark Madden in Pittsburgh, who is holding on hope, I believe, for the Steelers, who are trying to make things happen. But I think this does have all the makings for an Aaron Rodgers show. This has all the makings for like a 400-yard night. This has all the makings for a scramble, a move, an incredibly sick throw on the sideline. This has all the makings for a massive Aaron Rodgers night. It does. It seems like that's the right case. I don't know what the spread is. I'm not sure what FanDuel is saying who's going to do what. But I think tonight is a night that Aaron Rodgers did that. Now, on the flip side, is this a must-win for the Philadelphia Eagles? A lot of people are saying. If the Philadelphia Eagles drop to 1-3, are they dead in the water? A lot of people are wondering. I don't think so. I mean, there's a lot of case study that we can look back in the NFL and say a team that goes 1-3, 1-5, 1-4 even can turn it. Well, I guess you would have to switch to 1-5 even and 1-4 even because 1-5 obviously worse than 1-4. But the Colts just last year were 1-5. They turned it around, got a playoff win, then ended up losing. But that's just a situation where, is it a must-win? Every game's a must-win in the NFL. Every game is a must-win in the NFL. But can the Carson Wentz-led Birds that are banged up, they got a triple-wide injury tent out there. They don't even know who's sitting, who's setting up, who's catching, who's benched. They have no idea. Doug Peterson is just trying to wade in the water. He got tossed in the deep end with no floaties. And him and Carson Wentz are just kicking their little legs in that deep end, trying to make things happen. 2 drops away from being an undefeated football team. But is tonight a must-win for them? I don't think so. I think you can lose this one. I think people are expecting you to lose this one. Whenever your record is poor and you lose a game that people think you're going to win, that's when it's over. That's when it's like, all right, we've given up hope. This team stinks. I still think the Philadelphia Eagles can turn it around, even if they can't top Aaron Rodgers, who's about to pop off tonight on Thursday Night Football.
They are 4-point dogs right now. I think it started at maybe 5.5, so some money is coming in on the Eagles. People, expect them to at least cover.
Which I can respect, but I think with a shorter week, Thursday Night Football, less game planning, Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers are going to make it easier on offense. They're not going to be doing as much. Even though he's wearing a wristband, I assume it'll be a little bit less plays. It'll be a lot more playmakers making plays, which Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers do. That's what they do. Backyard football, they will beat the hell out of anybody in this country, I think, in backyard football if they're to play. Aaron Rodgers, by the way, have we talked? Is he probably the best backyard football player to ever play football? I would assume he's probably the best backyard football player to ever play.
I mean, a lot of people consider him the best football player, period. So I would assume that translates well to backyard two-hand touch.
But his style is a backyard. No,
Yeah,
not
for
two-hand.
sure.
Who's playing two-hand touch?
That's what kids play
What a
nowadays.
soft. See, this is the problem. You're
I'm
a problem,
telling you.
Nick. You're not the answer. You're the
I
problem.
didn't say I was playing it.
Yeah, you did. You said two-hand touch
That's
in the
what kids
backyard.
are playing nowadays.
Well, that's probably the problem.
I played tackle football growing up. Come on.
We played tackle football on the streets.
Mm-hmm.
I ran my head into things.
Marshawn Lynch said the reason why beast mode happened and that touchdown happened is because when he was playing throw-em-up tackle football on the streets of Oakland, the town, he used to run into buses whenever they would tackle people. It's a new world. Because of stats and data and analytics, probably shouldn't run into buses. Probably shouldn't play tackle football on concrete. But backyard football is just a different game, and that's what it looks like whenever Aaron Rodgers is at his best. It's just him creating, making, delivering all over the field. I'm betting the Packers there. I assume a lot of the money is on the Eagles if it dropped down 1.5. Mm-hmm. But I think the the way to go tonight. Now, let's move down to Duval. This is one I was on ESPN Get Up Show whenever it came out via Adam Schefter, who somehow seems to be plugged into every single situation in Earth. I don't know who he knows. I don't know how he knows. I don't know what he does. But the Andrew Luck retirement thing was the biggest news story in the NFL probably in the last 5 years. He drops it in the middle of a Colts game. No problem. Adam Schefter, Adam Baum, keep it moving. Let's move forward. Then, while we're on Get Up, he breaks the news that Jalen Ramsey is sick and will not be attending the Jaguars practice. Whatever, there's a lot of buzz and conversation about Jalen Ramsey wanting out of Jacksonville. And on Get Up, it immediately became, this is a joke. This guy, he doing anything to stay out of the Jacksonville Jaguars building. Pat, what do you think? Well, what if he's really sick? I mean, what if this guy's got the swine flu? What if he's got the bird flu? What if he's an incredibly selfless player and doesn't want to bring his sickness into work to infect his teammates, a la what we've had to do with Todd McComas at our office, a la what I would hope anybody else in our office, if they get sick, don't come in. I don't need whatever you have. And that's a standard NFL rule, by the way. If you go into a building, the season's only 17 weeks long. You don't need anybody contracting any virus that you potentially got from doing whatever the hell you do outside the building. I walked into that building one time. I probably had like 107 fever or something like that. I think that's dead. I mean, it probably wasn't that high. But I had this massive fever, and this was back when I was partying pretty hard, so I probably deserved it. I mean, I assume I ran my body dry. I walked in, I looked terrible. And the trainer looks at me and goes, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, I feel actually sick right now. Like, this isn't a hangover. Like, I feel actually sick." And they quarantined me in a room. They put me in a room very quickly. Boom, put me in a room. Basically shut the door. And I poke my head out because I'm getting a little lonely. And I'm like, for 10 minutes, I'm like, "Guys, what's going on?" They're like, "Pat, shut the door, Pat. We don't need you breathing on anybody of importance and getting anybody else sick." And I'm like, "All right, I'll just sit here, no TV, no nothing. I'll just hang up by myself." And I already feel terrible. Then a doctor comes in. He feels my head, does the old classic, like, do this, put the thing under the tongue. Let's do this.
Cough.
Okay, cough. No, he didn't grab the gut center.
Oh, good for you.
I didn't have a
Hernia.
A hernia, yeah. They ruled out hernia pretty early, which is good. So there was no drop of the
Smart. So it wasn't like a Dr. Zeet situation.
No, it wasn't a Dr. Zeet situation.
Whoa.
It wasn't a Foxy situation. It was a situation where they were like, "All right, here's the deal. We're going to give you a Z-Pack. Here's a Z-Pack.
Oh, cure all.
We're going to give you a Z-Pack. We're going to give you this, and we want you to go home." I'm like, "Well, we got practice today." We're like, "Well, you're going to have to miss it because we can't have you accidentally touching Adam Vinatieri, or you touch the ball a lot, throwing that back to the long snapper, which potentially gets on the long snapper, which potentially gets on the guards, which potentially gets on the D tackle, which potentially gets on the linebacker, which potentially intercept Peyton Manning, which throws the ball back to Peyton Manning. All of a sudden, you got Peyton Manning sick. How do you feel, Pat?" I'm like, "Well, I feel even worse now. I'm already sick. I'm about to vomit. And now I got Peyton Manning sick." They're like, "You're not, though. You're going to go home." So when I heard Jalen Ramsey was sick, I was like, standard maneuver. But everybody was like, "Pat, don't be so naive. He's not sick. He's trying to skip work." I'm like, "Well, does he have a doctor's note?" Right? Everybody knows you can only skip things with a doctor's note. And they're like, "Well, we're not sure. We'll find that out." So then a couple of days later, they're like, "Well, his back's hurt." Well, if you're coughing up a lung from being so sick, your back's going to lock up. That's just something that's going to happen. They're like, "Well, now he's making up a back injury." And then now Doug Marrone came out and said, "Hey, we talked way back in the day. Jalen Ramsey was going to travel down to see his lady give birth to his daughter. This is something we've already discussed, which just so happens to fall at the end of this week." So is Jalen Ramsey the most unlucky human of all time that amidst all of this trade talk, he gets sick, hurts his back coughing, then the baby's about to be born, so it just feeds this entire narrative that Jalen Ramsey is an incredibly selfish and terrible person? Or is he actually just dad of the year? Like, is he actually is he a dad of the year? Is he a teammate of the year? And should we feel bad for this guy picking up the pig flu in the middle of the NFL season? Should we feel bad for this guy blowing out his back because he's coughing so hard? And should we feel great about a guy wanting to see his baby be born? I guess there's always two ways to look at it. With everything I just said, I think it's all a bunch of BS. I think he's trying to get out of Jacksonville for sure. I don't know. I have no idea. But I do feel like in this world we are promoted as people that talk about sports to just assume things and jump to these narratives that completely paint a picture in a terrible way. Look at the way Cutler was talked about whenever he was playing football. Terrible guy. Oh, he's the worst. He hates his team. He's a bad player, blah, blah, blah. And then you watch him on this reality show. The dude's a legend. It's like, I love this dude. They're like, well, maybe if he was nicer to the media in the NFL, we would have covered him nicer. Maybe if the media just didn't assume things all the time, it would be a little bit better. Now, granted, we're a member of the media, and I assume this bathroom I'm about to run to I'm not going to be able to get into because I don't have a key to any of these hotels. But it's, I mean, it is 9:35 here, Central Standard Time, 10:35 American Standard Time. We're having a hell of a Thursday. We can't thank you enough for listening. Tweet us a question, hashtag Pat McAfee Show Live. If Zito likes it and he asks it, you'll get some free merch. Aside from that, we got a podcast out today, Pat McAfee Show 2.0 with Adam Vinatieri, where he addresses the retirement rumors for the first time. I think you're going to enjoy hearing his answer. It's motivating, inspiring, and I don't think the old man's anywhere near done. I think he's going to be kicking until he's in Depends. It's a must listen. Download that wherever you find podcasts. We'll be on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Pat McAfee Show.
Let's get ready to rumble! Anthony Joshua! Oh, yes, right hand by Joshua. Comes back with a hook. Perfected now on his heels. He's hurt. Joshua trying everything, a big right hand. And this is over.
A landmark 11-fight, $365 million deal, making Canelo the highest-paid athlete on the planet.
Callum Smith gives claimed the inaugural Muhammad Ali trophy. That is what is on the line. Here we go! Ryan Garcia! Can Rocky survive? And there's not much he can do. That was a headshot down the body, and that should do it.
Here today to discuss a new partnership between Gennady Golovkin and DAZN. Golovkin's going to spend the rest of his career fighting here on DAZN.
That's right, to new beginnings. Welcome to Change Up alongside Scott Rogowski, Ahmad Namberg. Every night, this is going to be the place to be.
I always wanted to know, like, as a boxer, how is it when you step into the ring, your name and career and everything you work for is on the line?
The fighting pride of all Ireland, KT Taylor.
All the suits, all the shoes, all this pretty glitz and glamour, at the end of the day, it don't mean nothing. We got to step in that ring.
You see the size difference. Jacobs is the taller man, but there is just thudding power from Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez, just an outstanding performance in the title defense.
Rampage evens the series. Mamma mia! And down goes Rojas. Patricio Pitbull has done it. That's an elbow that's come in there, you know. What a round. And he's wobbled again. He's got down after the bell. Big drama show continues, ladies and gentlemen.
Triple G sends a message to Canelo. Here we go, round number one, heavyweight championship of the world. Ruiz comes to fire back, and Joshua's hurt. Joshua is hurt, he's staggered, and he goes down again. He says that's it. Andy Ruiz is the heavyweight champion. Wow, wow, wow.
DAZN and MLB.
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show here, live on Westwood One radio stations across the country and worldwide. Wide. On DAZN, we can't thank you enough for watching and listening wherever you may be. Earlier today, I went into an entire bit, kind of a diatribe, I think some would say, a fit, some would say, about the Matt Nagy, Mitchell Trubisky controversy that has been contrived by a bunch of humans that have never been in the sporting world before in their life. A bunch of people that have never been coached by anybody before in their life. A bunch of people that have no idea that shut the fornicate up is probably the nicest thing and most docile thing a coach has ever said to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, good job, Pat, that counts. But I'm talking about when it comes to critiquing and stuff like that, shut the fornicate up is probably the nicest you could do. We talked a little bit about Eagles-Packers, how we think this is a night that is completely primed for Aaron Rodgers to explode. It's a short week, so Matt LaFleur, who's going to dodge, dip, dive, duck, and dodge his way to another victory probably this evening, is going to make it a simple offensive game plan for Aaron Rodgers to make plays. Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers, we're going to bank on you two to go ahead and make big plays tonight on this short week. Will the Philadelphia Eagles be able to answer? It's a 4-point spread right now. Obviously, the Eagles are getting 4. It did start at 5.5. A lot of humans on the FanDuel site must think that the Eagles are going to keep it close. I'm just not sure. This seems like an explosion for Aaron Rodgers, although the Eagles are only 2 drops away from being an undefeated football team. That seems to be forgotten about when people are asking, is this a must-win situation for the Eagles? Now, granted, if you can't get over the hump in those close games, every game's a must-win situation because that falls back on your culture. That falls back on the locker room. That falls back on a lot of things if you can't edge out those close games. Great teams win those close games. Average and bad teams lose them on a very regular occasion. When we were 2-14, I think like 9 games were one-score games that we lost. Could have been 11-5. Could have been 11-5, but our team was a bad team, so we couldn't get it done at the end. I think tonight's an Aaron Rodgers night, but I don't think it's a must-win for the Eagles as well. I think they still have time to turn it around, but every game is a good game to win in the NFL when you only have 16 games to prove whether or not you should get in the dance. You know, a little bit different than the NBA,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit different than the MLB, a little bit different than even hockey. That's hockey talk. By the way, hit the ball in the goal.
Tough look for Bleacher Report last night with that tweet.
People are trying to become hockey people.
Yeah, I guess you got to give him credit for attempting.
Bruh, he dropped down, hit a full 360, and hit the ball in the goal. I just don't think that's how it works, Bleacher Report. That was a bad look for hockey, and that's hockey talk. Let's talk about something that is more ancillary garbage. More stuff that this world is filled with that we have entered in this sports media world. More stuff that does not matter because it's not in between the lines. It's not at practice. It's not actual football. It's not winning and losing games. It's just all the buzz and drama around the sport. This is the Real Housewives operation that happens with the NFL when drama turns to more drama. Rex Ryan and I were sitting on the Get Up stage next to Hall of Famer Mike Greenberg, and we have an entire conversation about to pop off about the Cleveland Browns. And are the Browns dead? Are the Browns bad? Do the Browns stink? And I have been a Baker Mayfield guy from day one, mostly because he's a swagged out quarterback that goes against the grain for everything. He was a walk-on at 2 different schools. Everybody was rooting against him. His parents invested everything they had in Baker Mayfield making it. That family would be dead broke if Baker Mayfield didn't make it. And what did Mayfield do? Put his family on his back, put Oklahoma on his back, and now he's putting Cleveland on his back. And I love the electricity that this man radiates throughout a city that was a lost hope in the football world, even though the Dog Pound was a loyal fan base. So I was ready to go to bat for that. I was ready to talk about that. I was like, listen, maybe they're having struggles right now. Anytime you get new weapons, a new team, a new environment, there could be some learning struggles, learning curve. There could be some obstacles early that you can't figure things out. These are things that are going to happen, especially when you're running a Bruce Arians type offense under Freddie Kitchens, who is a Bruce Arians disciple, where you got your quarterback basically sitting back there, hold my ball, football. Anybody in football that knows what I just said can understand how difficult it is for me not to say what I'm supposed to say during that statement. But there's a lot of questions around the Browns team. Are the right plays being called? 4th and 9, they ran a draw in the fourth quarter whenever they were down. Let's assume that's not happening. Are the wide receivers getting the ball enough? Let's assume Odell Beckham getting targeted one time in the last 4 series is not good football. That's not conducive to being a winning football team. Is the offensive line that I think all 5 of them are top 3-round draft picks, I believe, for the first time. Are they performing up to snuff? I think they're put in a very tough position whenever you're asking your quarterback and your offense to sit back, wait for 10-yard routes, 20-yard routes, and everything downfield instead of just, a little tempo, a little fast, a little quick, get the ball out stuff. So the offensive line is being put in a tough position, but will they be able to learn and manage like all other Bruce Arians offenses have in the past? Yes. Andrew Luck had a lot of success in the Bruce Arians offense whenever he was young. But he got his ass kicked. Mm-hmm. He got his ass kicked. But there was a lot of success there, made it to the playoffs. Will that happen in Cleveland? We will see. I mean, when you got Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, Old Chubb, Baker Mayfield, and a lot of top picks there on the line, you would assume they'll be able to figure it out. Let's hope they do that whether or not. In the middle of that conversation, though, Rex Ryan, who's just saying everything we were just saying, just slides in there out of nowhere. Yeah, Baker's overrated as hell, but blah, blah, blah. And I was taken aback. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. He's 17 games into his career. Literally, 17 games into his professional career. He was drafted first overall. And when you get drafted first overall, you know where you're going? A bad football team. So has Baker Mayfield been able to turn around the Browns as fast as everybody had thought? I don't know. He had Hugh Jackson as a head coach for the first couple of weeks. Has anybody ever succeeded with that guy as a head coach? I watch Hard Knocks. Answer, no. That guy stinks as a head coach. Probably a great guy. I assume Hugh Jackson's a good guy. I don't know that, actually. After watching Hard Knocks, where he was standing in that river, and then he holds a press conference on episode 1, I said it after episode 1. I'd never heard a head coach look in the camera and say, I know I am going to win here. It's like, yo, you're a coach. Like, you're trying to pitch we, not me, to everybody. So as soon as I heard him say, I know I am going to win here, after going, 0-32 or something like that his last 2 seasons, like that was like, oh, this guy's terrible. This guy stinks. And then Baker Mayfield ends up there. Tyrod Taylor's the starter. You could tell Hugh Jack did not love Baker Mayfield, did not like him, so he kind of got off to a rough start. Then when Baker comes in that primetime game, turns the city around, everybody's like, okay, we got a guy. Cleveland was able to drink Bud Light again for the first time in like 3 years. They unlocked the coolers. He brought an electricity back to that city and that team that had never happened. You look at that quarterback jersey where they got all the names on there. It's been years and years and decades since they've had anything to have a little bit of hope. So now we're 17 games into this guy's career. And now we're going to talk about him being overrated. And Rex Ryan, I will say this. He comes from a coaching family that should be held in high esteem. The Ryan family, Buddy Ryan, Rob Ryan, Rex Ryan, are incredible football minds. I do believe that Rex Ryan is a much better coach than people give him credit for. I do believe right now if Rex Ryan wanted a job in the NFL, he could get it like that. Because of Rex Ryan's success, he's a Super Bowl champion. As a head coach, he led a Mark Sanchez-led New York Jets to the AFC Championship game against the team I was playing for. I think Rex Ryan, his brain is a good one. The overrated as hell comment I thought came out of left field. I reacted as such. I said, whoa, whoa, whoa. So now this has created an entire firestorm about is Baker Mayfield overrated, because that's how this world works. Is Baker Mayfield the quarterback that everybody thinks he is? He's in commercials. He's doing this. The Brownies have been overhyped all offseason, and they're not performing. Is this 100% Baker Mayfield's fault? So Baker Mayfield responded yesterday, which is why I like Baker Mayfield, by the way, because even though Aaron Rodgers kills people with indifference, and even though most quarterbacks would never respond to this, and even though most quarterbacks would never get in a beef with Colin Cowherd or other people, that's just the way Baker is. Baker's not changing. He said he idolizes Brett Favre for good reason. It does appear that he idolizes Brett Favre, who didn't know what a nickel defense was for the first 5 years of his career. It seems like he's getting beat by Wade Phillips, who's another incredible coaching mind. But whenever Baker Mayfield responds to media people, other media people go, oh, he should shut up. Well, it's like, well, what are you doing then? Why can't Baker respond? And whenever he responded, he said this. Do we have the tape? We don't have the tape.
We have the tape. We do not have any of the audio that goes with the tape.
Anyways. Which is good. I mean, that's completely good. We're in the back of a box truck. But he said basically, in the wise words of Freddie Kitchens, which I love that he's saying that about Freddie Kitchens. Shows that he's on Freddie Kitchens' side still. Whenever it seems like a lot of people are trying to drive a wedge between.
He
Baker
might be the first person to ever call Freddie Kitchens wise.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Exactly what you just said right there. People have been trying to drive a wedge between Baker and Freddie Kitchens and Odell. That's just kind of what people do. They're like, okay, let's watch this team that we've hyped up that has a lot of personalities. Let's watch them implode on themselves. Odell Beckham Jr. was very professional after the game. He's like, listen, we just got to get better. Freddie Kitchens and Baker have stayed on the same page. Freddie Kitchens took blame for a lot of things. But when Baker said, in the wise words of Freddie Kitchens, if they're not wearing the colors orange and brown, their opinions don't matter. And then he went on to take a shot at Rex, and Rex is wearing no colors right now for a reason, which I love. I love that. What a deep shot, you know? And he's not coaching for a reason. I absolutely love that. But now the world's abuzz. Is Baker worried about the off-the-field stuff more than he's worried about the on-the-field stuff? You see him biting into cans and shotgunning beers, electrifying the Cleveland Indians fan base like something that hasn't happened in a long time. Since Wild Thing came running out of the bullpen, you haven't heard the Indians fans go crazy like that. Embrace the place, embrace the city is what he's done. And Cleveland has not been embraced by a lot of people in a long time. Nick hates them for no reason.
Well, for good reason. They stink.
See, that's what I'm talking about. A lot of people talk about Cleveland that way. Baker's done a complete opposite.
Let me ask you this. If he says the first part of that statement and doesn't finish the second part, is it even an issue?
If he doesn't say the second part, then Baker Mayfield isn't Baker Mayfield, and that means Baker Mayfield is a
stooge and sellout.
So I love it. I love that he did that because that's what Baker is. All you can ask is for the person to remain themselves. Baker has remained himself. Have the struggles happened on offense? Yes. Have they not lit up the scoreboard like everybody potentially thought they were going to? Yes. By the way, Jeopardy James Holzhauer came on the show after his incredible run on Jeopardy and said that he doesn't think he's a professional sports gambler. He said the under on Cleveland is the perfect bet right now. Everybody's hyping them up. They're going to stumble because they haven't been good in so long. So us thinking that this guy who has only had 17 starts in the NFL was going to be able to flip around a franchise that has been bad for 3 decades, by the way, was an incredible hype machine. I bought in. I was all in. I was like, he's going to be able to do it. I think I even bet the over. I went to FanDuel in New Jersey, and I bet the over for the Browns, which, by the way, can still happen. But saying somebody's overrated as hell, not just overrated, but overrated as hell, is quite a shot. That is quite a shot from somebody. Rex Ryan knew that. Rex Ryan has a big brain, a good brain. He's a good football mind, and you could see why Baker would potentially want to take a shot back. But if Baker starts winning games, this isn't a topic of conversation at all. It comes right back around. I'm excited for the day that Rex Ryan gets back into coaching. Baker Mayfield's in like his 10th year. He's the coach of the team. Him and Rex have to revisit this whole situation again down the road. That is all ancillary garbage. It means absolutely nothing. So I don't have a problem with Baker Mayfield's comments. I think if he didn't take a shot back, I would say Baker Mayfield has changed, which means he's a
stooge and sellout.
So that's how I feel about it.
Do you think Rex respects it?
Yes. Rex, you got to remember, Rex Ryan used to walk into press conferences and just fire shots at everybody. He used to just saw down the entire Patriots organization. He used to talk about everybody. He dressed up like his brother one game. I mean, Rex Ryan is not only a very smart football mind, he's an entertaining as hell human being who has fantastic teeth all of a sudden.
Great teeth.
One of the best set of teeth I've ever seen. Because normally when people get their teeth did, they're either too big, they're too small, they look like they're fake. Rex Ryan's teeth are incredible. His tan looks good. His suit game is swagged out. Everything about Rex I like. And Rex would love this from Baker Mayfield.
I just think back to when he told Channing Crowder that he's walked over tougher guys than him on his way to a fight.
Which, by the way, makes me love Rex Ryan even more. I mean, that is just something.
He's a legend.
He's an absolute legend. So when he speaks, people listen. I just so happen to be sitting right next to him. And with that being said, since Baker did hear what Rex Ryan said, I've yet to be thanked by Baker for going to bat for him on national TV there. Is Baker Mayfield ungrateful? I'm joking. I'm joking. I can't do that. 9:55 here, September 26th. We'll be back on the other side. You listen to the Pat McAfee Show. What is this?
Anthemic EDM _ with buzzing bass line.
vacation, 2 hours of magic, let's give it a go. Ladies and gents, it's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show.
Yes, it is, Chase Rice. Thank you so much for that incredible introduction. It is 11:01 a.m. American Standard Time, 10:01 a.m. Central Standard Time, which is where we are broadcasting from right here in Memphis. I'm being joined by a great cast of men here at Nick Moraldo, at Viva Lazito, at Evan Foxy, at Ty Schmidt. Now, for a long time, I've been an internet guy. That is what I've been described as. Whenever ESPN was looking into me, Fox Sports was looking into me, all these people that were potentially going to make an offer after I left Barstool were considering me an internet guy.
That's where you cut your teeth.
A lot of time I've spent on Twitter. A lot of time I spent building 140 characters at a time to inform, inspire, and entertain individuals. One tweet at a time, building an army of incredible humans on the internet and a positive space, I think, on the internet for a long time. But the internet gets crushed for a lot of things. And being an internet guy, I don't think in the big corporations' eyes was a good thing, but in my eyes, I viewed it as a good thing. I was like, I'm proud to be on the internet where everything is earned, not given. Your shows, you have to earn views. They're not just on the background at sports bars picking up views where nobody's listening. You got to really connect with humans. You got to dedicate your life to people that are following along. You got to make real connections, be a real human, and really grind at it to build a following on the internet. So anybody that has a following on the internet, I have nothing but respect for it because it's earned, not given. But the internet can be a terrible place. And I completely understand that. The internet can be one of the dumbest places on earth. Twitter has been described as the best bar on earth and the worst bar on earth at the same damn time.
Stiff drinks are in the back.
That's right. Got to scroll pretty deep for those. But there are some stiff drinks I've just learned recently, very much so on Twitter, by the way. I had no idea that there's an entire porn department on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
I guess old Jack lets that thing go. Disney was apparently thinking about buying Twitter, and then they looked into it, and Robert Iger was like, this place is a little bit too toxic for us. Let's go ahead and keep selling Woody and Buzz. Let's not dive into this world where we have no control, which is probably smart because although my Twitter area, and I think the landscape that I've been able to build, because I do believe if you put out positive stuff comes back. I try to just have a good time on there, build up a good network, point out that things are hilarious, but every once in a while, Twitter and social media become a terrible place. And I think that happened with this Matt Nagy, Mitchell Trubisky situation, where Matt Nagy was trying to coach Mitchell Trubisky. Even though they were blowing a team out, I don't think Mitchell Trubisky was having a great game. I think the defense was putting him in incredible positions, but I don't think Mitchell Trubisky has reached his peak yet or anywhere near it in Matt Nagy's eyes. So on the sideline of the Monday Night Football game, Matt Nagy was caught on camera looking Mitchell Trubisky right in the eyes and telling him, shut the fornicate up and either step the fornicate up right now or something else like that. Which, by the way, very standard coach speak to a player at all ages. I remember being an 8-year-old playing soccer, doing something, and my dad, me popping off, and my dad telling me, I don't know if he said shut the fornicate up because I was 8 years old, but I remember him telling me very clearly to shut up. This is something that happens. Coaches care about their players. If they really do, they're going to get emotional about their players. They're going to want the best out of their players, mostly because not only have the players invested a lot of time and energy and emotion into this, the coaches dedicate their life to making these players better individuals.
Not even just that. There's an incredible amount of money on the line for both Mitch and Matt.
I mean, that's the business side of it. I'm trying to keep it more personable, because the take is a little bit better whenever I'm saying that Matt Nagy cares about Mitchell Trubisky. That's why he's doing it. Not strictly so Matt Nagy can get richer, but I understand what you're saying.
It makes Mitchell richer as well.
That is also a very valid thing. He's looking out for Mitchell's future by coaching him like this. But obviously, the internet was abuzz about this. Is Matt Nagy allowed to talk to Mitchell Trubisky like that? Is Matt Nagy the meanest, most rudest human on earth for telling his player to shut the up and step the up right now? Is he a terrible human? And of course, all the people that were saying that are people that have never in their entire life played sports. And if they did, they probably stunk and weren't coached because the coach had no hope in them. The thing about coaching that every coach will tell you is once I stop coaching you, that's when you should worry. Now, granted, Nagy can't stop coaching Mitchell Trubisky. He's the starting quarterback of the Chicago Bears. But the fact that he's still coaching him up, especially how he's coaching him up, is a very standard operation. Mitchell Trubisky came out and said, I love it. I got fired up. That's what you want from your head coach. But all these people from outside the sports world that have changed the game from not being an intense and hard game. Now, granted, science says that we should make the game safer, which I respect. But all these people who just try to drum up all this stuff are talking about how mean of a human Matt Nagy is. I absolutely hated it. I texted a bunch of my old teammates. I said, hey, what's the most savage thing a coach has ever said to you while trying to bring the best out in you, while trying to motivate you, while trying to inspire you? And everything that I got back from all my old teammates, we can't say on the air.
Yeah.
We can't say on the air. What I realized through that text message is the fact that shut up is probably the most docile thing a coach can say in the heat of a moment in competition and in battle. And I think that's what we need to learn. We can't just expect in the competitive world for the humans to act the same way they should act in real life. I think we should expect a lot out of humans in real life. But I think whenever the bullets are flying and the competition's there and there's high intensity, there's a lot of money on the line, there's a lot of future on the line, everything's on the line, I think we should just understand that sometimes these things happen. Now, do I blame potentially NFL Films and stuff like that who have people mic'd up, but they never show that? They never show that this conversation happens all the time across all teams. I got somebody to tweet me today like, well, you ever see Andy Reid talk to his players like that? I'm like, they've never shown us. I would assume at some point Andy Reid or one of his coaches has told a player to shut up. I would assume that is good. That is just standard practice in the coaching world. I had a coach tell me whenever I was in a little bit of a slump that I needed to pick it up. I needed to be better. And I'm a smart ass, always have been. I told him, hey, why don't you pick it up, right? And he looks back at me, tells me to shut up. And I'm like, well, you're probably right. And I go ahead and walk it off. And then whenever I found a coach that understood me and knew me, and in that particular time in my life, I had to be a little bit angry. I had to be a little bit hot to perform at my highest level. The coach knew that from working with me every single day in practice, which is what Matt Nagy does to Mitchell Trubisky. Every single day he works with him in practice. I had a coach that worked with me every single day in practice that knew I had to get fired up a little bit. So he would say things that were very rude to me, very, very rude to me, strictly so I could bring out the best in me. Now, granted, I wish it was all kumbaya. I wish the world didn't want to fight everybody. I wish the world was a good place. I wish the ability to coach was just like, hey, Foxy, I hope you do better next time. I wish that worked. But it doesn't always work that way. And the soft asses on the internet that are giving the internet a bad name, basically, need to just pipe off and stay out of it. I'm sick of it.
Well, and what I don't understand is, like, look at Hard Knocks. Like, that's been, like, one of the most popular shows on TV for the last, 10 years? Like, every coach is like this. Every coach does something along these lines, and they have no problem with it in that scenario, but then you do it on the sideline, and it's a war crime.
It's incredibly easy to sit back on your couch and watch this game on TV and criticize these guys for what they say in the moment, but you're not in that moment. You're not living that situation with that much on the line. That is a high pressure.
And I just hate, I understand and I appreciate what Twitter has done for me and for our business. And I love social media and the ability to make the world a smaller place. But it gives a platform to people that shouldn't have a platform. Yes, all opinions matter, but we shouldn't have to all hear them. Some of people's opinions should not be broadcasted to other humans, and they should know that too. There are some people that tweet me some mean things, and I like it. I enjoy it. I enjoy the banter. I love that I love trash talking each other. But whenever you're tweeting and every single one of your tweets is getting like 0 likes, 0 retweets, why don't you just text it to your mom? Instead of tweeting, just text it. Just put it in a group text. If you have 5 followers, just put that thing in a group text and just keep that amongst the boys. I don't need you to think that it matters and put it out in public. There's 0 self-awareness. There's a lot of things that are wrong with the internet, but I think it is a majority a good place. But this Matt Nagy situation, Mitchell Trubisky, is ridiculous, and I can't stand the thought of people being like, oh, he's rude. He's rude. What did Mitchell Trubisky do? Threw 3 touchdowns. Maybe that's what Matt Nagy found out he needs to do for Mitchell Trubisky. Maybe he found out that's the best way to coach Mitchell Trubisky. Maybe he's about to bring the best out of Mitchell Trubisky, which is good for Chicago.
Bear it down.
Because that defense.
No.
Yep.
It's good.
There you go, Zito. They bear it down. I just don't like the reaction to that. I don't love it. We got to get to a break here, and on the other side, we have a writer from Chicago named Kevin Fishbane. I'm excited to hear what he thinks the city's talking about. I have no idea how he feels about it. We saw the Chicago Tribune say that in a profane rant, Matt Nagy is trying to blend together motivator and QB guru. Or whatever. What if he's just trying to be a coach? What if he's just trying to coach a guy? I mean, we'll hear from Kevin Fishbane on the other side of the break. Sounds like we have no music. That's great. Everything seems to be crashing down, but this conversation is only going to get better. You've been listening to the Pat McAfee Show.
We lost Wi-Fi.
Clear.
We got no tunes.
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show here, live on Westwood One radio stations and worldwide, wide on the DAZN app and the Twitter. We can't thank you enough for listening. A lot of things have been going wrong technically, but the boys have been working their tails off to get this show off the ground. Speaking of working their tails off, Matt Nagy and Mitchell Trubisky have been doing that for the last couple of years to turn the team around in Chicago. The world is abuzz about Matt Nagy potentially saying, shut the front door up to Mitchell Trubisky on Monday Night Football. Joining us now from Chicago, a writer for The Athletic, Kevin Fishbane. Kevin, how is the city of Chicago reacting to Matt Nagy coaching Mitchell Trubisky? It's not on? All right. I bet you it sounds like Kevin Fishbane, who has a really good name. I would assume he is on the side of good coaching. Anybody with a brain here understands that good coaching can potentially have somebody swearing at somebody. Good coaching could potentially have an emotional moment with your player. Good coaching could potentially have a moment where you're trying to drive and draw the best out of your player regardless of what is happening in the outside world. They live in an absolute fishbowl in a competitive environment, a world that just survives and thrives on competition and intensity. I hated the fact that people were coming after Matt Nagy because I don't want coaches to feel as if they're handcuffed and can't. This kind of happened to the Michigan State basketball coach during the March Madness. Marked in
Tom Izzo.
Yep, him.
Tom Izzo went at the freshman, Aaron Henry. Yikes. Can you guys hear? Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Tom Izzo went at the freshman Aaron Henry, yelled at him right in his face. Everyone freaked out. They go on to win the game. They go on to the Final Four.
Well, and also he went on to miss a pretty large three that made me not cover the over in the second half after he yelled at the kid. But everybody did go crazy. They were like, well, he can't yell at him. He can't do this. Well, what's he supposed to do? He's supposed to just pat him on the back and hope that this 18-year-old kid is able to motivate himself to become his best self. I said this in the first hour. I got a chance to interview the Memphis head coach yesterday because we're calling the Navy-Memphis game tonight in Memphis, Tennessee. He said that the job of a coach is do what you can do to inspire folks to be better than what they are. Sometimes a little inspiration takes a little bit of a kick in the ass. Sometimes inspiring somebody to be better isn't just with all butterflies and sugar. Sometimes you have to stomp a mud hole in someone to realize that they can be better. That's what can happen, Nick. Sometimes you got to do that.
Hey, man, you're preaching to the choir. It's not always nice to hear things you need to hear. Sometimes you need to be told, hey, you're screwing this up. This is a better way to do it. Okay, you need to accept that and take a little constructive criticism and move on. It's not always personal.
No, and Mitchell Trubisky, by the way, came out and said that it fired him up, made him a better player, and he loves that his coach is like that. Because if your coach has energy and passion for you, then it makes you feel like, you know what, this guy truly cares about me. This guy is not just collecting a check. This guy truly cares if I become a better man, a better football player, and hopefully more rich in the future because the Bears win a bunch of games. Sometimes what needs to be said isn't always the best thing.
Amen.
And sometimes I think I need to come in here whenever they're starting to set up for this thing and be like, hey, let's figure it out.
Say some things that need to be said.
This truck was here 2 days ago. We didn't start plugging things in until 6 a.m. this morning. Who knew if we were going to be able to go live at 9 a.m.? It's not 10 a.m. I think they thought they started at 6. The show goes at 10 a.m. No. That's American Standard Time. We are in Central Time here in Memphis, which, by the way, interesting city is Memphis, Tennessee. Very interesting city. But, man, I want to hear what Kevin Fishbane has to say. I think we'll be able to have him on the line at some point soon because the city of Chicago, outside of Zito, needs to be represented in this convo. The Chicago Tribune put out a headline that said he's trying to blend together motivator and QB guru. Oh, he's trying to be a football coach? Is that what he's trying to be? Chicago is a historically great football town. That seems like a very dumb comment. A lot of people on the internet, even people with blue check marks that shouldn't be talking, are talking about how he's rude, he shouldn't be doing that. I'm sick of it.
He's also got a responsibility to the other 52 guys on the team to get the best he can out of Mitchell Trubisky, and that doesn't mean being nice to Mitchell.
At all times.
Exactly.
By the way, he is being nice to him, by the way, by driving him to be better. He's being nice to the rest of the team to get our quarterback to be his absolute best he can be. I don't know. I think sometimes, because I'm kind of a younger guy, right?
Sure.
Especially in this world. Every once in a while, I feel as if I sound like an old man yelling in my front yard because I think some things are so ridiculously dumb. But this negative reaction to Matt Nagy is something that I thought has been ridiculously dumb. I honestly have. I think it's been just like I thought the Tom Izzo reaction was ridiculously dumb. It's like, what do you want him to do? They're like, well, and some people were even taking it to a race issue with the Tom Izzo and the freshman basketball player.
Right.
And I was just like, well, what's Tom Izzo supposed to do? Go back in time, be an African-American man so it could be, but it's just, it never ends. It seems like somebody's going to find something to be upset about. And the people that find something to be upset about, I don't think they care about the sport. I don't think they care about competition. I don't think they have any idea what's going on. I think the only thing they care about is getting their name out there and spinning a little drama, a little controversy.
Well, they're treating it like it's a Pee-wee football situation. You know, maybe you can criticize a Pee-wee coach if he's yelling the F word at little kids, but these are professional athletes. This is a professional coach with millions of dollars on the line. It doesn't make sense to criticize them for a few choice words of foul language.
By the way, I've seen some Pee-wee football coaches now go ahead and let loose. I've seen some little league, soccer and stuff.
Oh, of
coaches
course.
lose their mind. I was on a team. Played a year up, obviously. Really strong leg, kicked the ball against the wall for hours and hours a day. That's probably why my knees were bad, but also probably why I ended up in the NFL. Good for me. People say, Pat, if you wanted your kid to be a kicker in the NFL, what would you do? I have a son. He's 10 years old. I want him to be a ball kicker in the NFL. At least get a scholarship. At least get a scholarship, they say.
Oh, at least.
What would you have your kid do? I'd say, well, first thing I'd have him do is start to play a little bit of soccer. So he can learn a little bit about how to kick a ball, a little bit of leg speed. He doesn't like soccer. It's like, okay, well, that's probably step number one, I think, would be play a sport that involves kicking. Maybe send him to Australia so he can play Aussie rules football there as a 10-year-old. So have a kick, the whole thing like that. And then also, my particular path was have your kid have such terrible ADD and have absolutely terrible, what is that called, dexterity in your thumbs, that he's terrible at video games. Have him not be able to sit still through a movie. Have him not be able to sit still through any TV. Have him have an old man that puts on terrible television, and then get a soccer ball, go outside on the side of your house, and have him just kick the ball against the wall for no less than 3 hours, 4 hours a day, just strictly because there's nothing else for him to do. I think that's where you start, and then I think you do that for about, 7 to 10 years, and I think what's going to happen there is a little bit of power in his leg. Then you tell him, okay, now you go start kicking footballs, because if you have no power in your leg, you're going to suck at kicking footballs. And when you suck at kicking footballs, you're going to be like, wow, this is a nerdy position. Everybody makes fun of me to begin with, and I'm bad at it. You're probably going to quit immediately. I think that's what you should do. That's probably the right plan. But to do that, you're going to have to be able to get coached, too. I mean, the old man taught me that if I work my ass off, anything's possible. So maybe whenever I would kick the ball against the wall, I'd start feeling a little fatigued there. Maybe, like 20, 30 minutes in, I come inside. Tim McAfee goes, oh, are you done? Is that all you got today? It's like almost challenging me. I'm like, no, I'll go try to knock this house down for another hour and a half if you want. I went out there and worked. The best coaches are motivators. The best coaches can find the way to make you the best you. And if Matt Nagy has found the way to make Mitchell Trubisky the best Mitchell Trubisky, and it involves telling him every once in a while, hey, I need you to do this, and you need to do this right now. Let him be it. Let him do it. And hopefully the Chicago Bears fans will reap the benefit at the end. That's what I think personally.
And it's not like Matt Nagy is some old man from a different generation yelling at Mitchell. Like, he is not that far off in age. So it's coming from a place of, yeah, I've been here before too. We're in this together. It's not, I need you to do this right now or we're screwed. I need you to do this because it's better for all of us. We're a team here.
Exactly. My dad just texted me that John Wayne is awesome, which completely, that was what he used to just watch. My dad used to be one clicker, one TV. Tim McAfee had control of it. I knew the next 3 hours were just going to be garbage entertainment on television. And that is probably what led me to start kicking balls, which has probably led me to here today. So I guess I should be thanking John Wayne, and I should be thanking his terrible movies and how boring they are for what has made me me. What's up, Foxy?
And also, what your dad taught you and what your coaches taught you is really showing today when you're in the back of a box truck doing a radio show and it's a complete cluster truck and nothing's working and you're getting through it.
Well, can we say one thing is working quite well? The air conditioner, thanks to Tim McAfee.
Let's go.
I got hard nips. I can't feel my fingers. It's freezing in here.
We are in Memphis, Tennessee for the Navy-Memphis game tonight. I think it's going to be a good one, by the way. Yesterday, I was in the Navy offensive coordinator's film room with Matt Hasselbeck, and he was literally breaking down the triple option for us. I feel like, it's all about split decisions, this triple offense, right? It's all about split decisions. And it's like the oldest form of football there is. But at West Virginia, we kind of ran it, but it was called the spread offense instead, and Pat was in shotgun instead of under center, where you're reading the end and you're reading the next
The
person.
zone read.
Yeah, it's basically that, but it's just the old school form of it where he's under center. And after like 30, 45 minutes of film study with him, I thought there was a chance I could potentially win a Heisman if I was to go to a team. But I think tonight we're in for a good one. We're in for a good one. The coach of the Navy offense there, Coach Jasper, whose son had a heart transplant just 2 years ago, is doing well, by the way. Congratulations to that. That's an awesome story that I'm sure I'll bring up tonight on ESPN. He said the triple option is like Novocaine. Might take a little bit, but it always works. And they feel like they're in any single game. They're in every single game.
I thought it was because sometimes it's numbing to watch.
Jeez.
There's no reason for you to talk about America's heroes like that. These kids are serving America.
Just throw them under the
I mean, they can throw the ball once in a while. It's not going to hurt them.
They do, though. Malcolm Perry has big-time
Yeah, let's
yardage.
go.
They actually
Open
do
it
throw
up.
the ball, which is why they are so tough to stop right now. And the Memphis team very much knows that. But this Memphis team, 10.5-point favorites, I believe, they know they're going to be in for a dogfight. They got a real-life tiger on the sideline in the end zone. Tonight's going to be a good one in Memphis. But outside of this truck that we're in, it is thick. It is hot. This South, I don't know how people do it. Anytime you walk outside, you immediately start to sweat. You're moist. Everything happens. But this air conditioner in here that Tim McAfee put in has been magical. Also this evening, there's another football game with pretty big consequences on the line for both teams. The Green Bay Packers play host to the Philadelphia Eagles. Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson, who I might add was once a quarterback for the Cleveland Browns but couldn't turn him around. But Baker Mayfield has brought a little buzz to the city. He responds to Rex Ryan. We'll dive into that here in a little bit. But Doug Peterson and Carson Wentz, who are 2 drop balls away from being undefeated, travel to Green Bay, Wisconsin in the frozen tundra. It's not going to be cold. It's going to be a pretty standard warm night. But they travel to Lambeau to take on Aaron Rodgers, Matt LaFleur, in a defense that seems to be legit. Right now, the Philadelphia Eagles are 4-point dogs. They're getting 4 on the road on a Thursday night. A lot of people are asking the question, is this a must-win for the Philadelphia Eagles? I say nay. I say no. I say, will they win? No. I say, does it matter? Yes. Every game is a must-win in the NFL. When you only have 16 games, every game is looked upon as a must-win. Every game is a one-week season. Every game is a big deal, especially when you're behind the 8 ball early, when you could be completely undefeated. But there have been times in the past, just last year, the Indianapolis Colts were 1-5. Then they rallied off a bunch of wins whenever they figured it out. Made it into the playoffs, got a win. The Steelers, I think in 74 or 76, were 1-4, went to the AFC Championship with Terry Bradshaw. You've seen Terry Bradshaw right now. That man took a beating, but he still made a play. So I don't think this is a must-win situation, because there has still been stats that have shown us that if they do lose tonight, there's still a way into the dance, which is all any team is trying to get to. Because once you get in the dance, anybody has a chance. Any team can get hot. The Giants proved that back in the day when they knocked down the undefeated Patriots. Tom Coughlin was almost fired that season. Then they get into the playoffs. Eli Manning, rest in peace to his playing career, got hot in the playoffs, and they won the Super Bowl. So I don't think this is a must-win for Carson Wentz on a Thursday night short week, traveling to Aaron Rodgers in a defense that is unstoppable, with a punter that's bombing balls and a Silver Fox kicker that's making kicks this year. But this does feel as if this is a game that Aaron Rodgers is going to pop off in. It's a short week. That means the preparation on the offensive side of the ball is not going to be as in-depth. This LaFleur offense that Aaron Rodgers has had to learn for the first time in his career has had to learn a new offense. Him and McCarthy were basically running the Aaron Rodgers offense for his entire career. Now he has to learn a new offense. Although he is an incredibly intelligent man, would win in jeopardy against any other probably professional athlete. He's a very, very smart man, but it takes a little bit to get comfortable in a new system, especially when you don't play in the preseason, unbeknownst to Aaron Rodgers, by the way, who told us on our show he had a hurt tight back. Then he was told he wasn't going to play. It wasn't his decision to not play preseason. So right now he's literally getting his first live rounds in this new system. Short week, the system will not be as dense. It will not be as expansive. It'll be a quick, shorter game that make playmakers make plays. Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams are going to go off tonight. I think they're just going to be roaming around backyard football doing things. I think this short week helps Aaron Rodgers more than it helps the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the defense is just see ball, get ball. I think they're a hungry defense. I think this feels like a night where the Green Bay Packers could potentially put up 700 points.
I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Now, Ty Schmidt agrees with me there. He is an owner of the Packers, though.
True.
You are a homer, but with a real, actual brain here thinking, you've seen Aaron Rodgers. This feels like the evening that Aaron Rodgers is really going to do it.
Yeah, it happens almost every year. It seems like he kind of has like a slow start or doesn't do quite what people are expecting him to. And then when everyone starts piling on him and telling him that he stinks and all this other stuff, he comes out and lights it up. And that defense, 9 takeaways, most in the NFL. Like they get after the quarterback. They create turnovers. I think it has all the makings for the Packers to have a big statement win.
And in a short week, that's not a lot of time to get players healthy. The Philadelphia Eagles have been banged up. This short week, if you have players that are kind of hurt, you're like, you know what, let's give them off because they have now an extended break through the weekend. We'll get them back next week. The 4-point dogs, 4-point favorites. I don't think that's going to be enough. I think the Packers put on a show tonight. And I don't think this is the end for the Eagles. I think they still have a chance. I think Doug Peterson is a hell of a coach. I think Carson Wentz shows flashes of greatness whenever they need him. I think they're 2 drop balls away from being undefeated. I think the Eagles still have a shot to really make a run. But right now, the Green Bay Packers are my pick to go to the Super Bowl. Right now, the Green Bay Packers are my pick from the NFC to really make something happen this year. And I'm saying that strictly because I like to read the Jimmies and Joes, not the X's and O's. After that first win against the Chicago Bears on opening night, Aaron Rodgers in the post-game interview said, we got a defense. We got a defense. The last time they had a top 10 defense was in 2010. They won the Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers said, I think a lot of teams are going to struggle with that Chicago Bears defense like we did. Granted, I'm in a new system. There's a lot of this happening. But I think a lot of teams are going to struggle with that Bears defense. And then he immediately flipped it around, and a lot of teams are going to struggle with our defense. So I think maybe the Aaron Rodgers, Matt LaFleur era has been judged prematurely because I don't think they're fully in depth. But I think that defense is going to win them games. I think J.K. Scott has already won them some games. And I think when Aaron Rodgers and the boys start really popping off in this offense, they're going to be a tough team to watch. I do believe they end up in the Super Bowl. But Super Bowl is on Groundhog's Day. And the NFC has to play an AFC opponent. And although I have faith in Jacoby Brissett and the Indianapolis Colts and Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, and I love the way things are really shaping up here for the AFC, it just feels as if they're going to do it again. We're very early in the season. We can overreact all we want, but I think the Patriots obviously are just a nightmare waiting to happen, which I am just now learning, by the way. I think you guys knew this. I haven't watched college football in about a decade and a half, so I did not know this. Even though I am now a college football analyst, I'm trying to get baptized in all the knowledge. Bill Belichick was basically born and raised in the Navy football program. His dad, Steve Belichick, coached for 40 years for the Navy. So every time Belichick was growing up, his love for football came through the Navy football program. Whenever he wants to come home, he comes back to Navy with no fanfare, talks to the team, he has a suite. The greatest football of all time basically came through the Navy. So that's why he's so disciplined, task-oriented, knows how to handle things, not too high on the highs, too low on the lows. That's why he's an incredible leader. You got a lot of great leaders in the military, and it feels like it's paid off. And when you have Tom Brady, a guy who looked like a bag of potatoes at the Combine, who is somehow transformed in a glow-up into one of the – I mean, he's just straight-up dilf of all dilfs right now, married to a lady who's worth $100-something million a year. I mean, whenever you put those two together with Josh McDaniels pulling the strings and helping out, I mean, that team just seems like they're not stopping until they decide to stop. But I think Aaron Rodgers wins the NFC this year with the Green Bay Packers. And I think tonight is the night where it's like the coming out party for that offense. Could be completely wrong, but that rarely happens when I speak.
Ooh.
That could really bite me in the ass tomorrow. What if they just do terrible? What if Aaron throws 7 picks? And
No way. Not at home.
Well, what I've learned in this media world is you can just say things like I just said there about Aaron Rodgers, and then tomorrow just be completely against them, and nobody even knows. As long as I'm louder tomorrow than I was today, nobody will even care. I got to run into this hotel that I don't have a room in that I thought I had a room in to go to the bathroom. I'm staying on the other side of town. The boys all have suites here. I didn't have a hotel room. I'm on the other side of Memphis. On the other side of the break, we'll do the greatest new segment in radio and simulcast. People are saying, where I comment on things that people are actually saying. We'll take some questions from the Twitter world. Zito will do that. And we'll wrap up what has been a fantastic Thursday, September 26th. You're listening to the Pat McAfee Show.
Let's get ready to rumble! Anthony Joshua! Oh, yes, right hand by Joshua. Comes back with a hook. Perfected now on his heels. He's hurt. Joshua trying everything, a big right hand. And this is over.
A landmark 11-fight, $365 million deal, making Canelo the highest-paid athlete on the planet.
Callum Smith has claimed the inaugural Muhammad Ali trophy. That is what is on the line. Here we go. Ryan Garcia. Can Rocky survive? There's not much he can do. That was a headshot down the body, and that's
Here today to discuss a new partnership between Gennady Golovkin and DAZN. Golovkin's going to spend the rest of his career fighting here on DAZN.
That's right, to new beginnings. Welcome to Change Up alongside Scott Rogowski. I'm Adnan Berg. Every night, this is going to be the place to be.
I always wanted to know, like, as a boxer, how is it when you step into the ring, your name and career and everything you work for is on the line?
The fighting pride of all Ireland, KT Taylor.
All the suits, all the shoes, all this pretty glitz and glamour, at the end of the day, it don't mean nothing. We got to step in that ring.
You see the size difference. Jacobs is the taller man, but there is just thudding power from Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez, just an outstanding performance in the title defense.
Is this on? Check, check.
Rampage evens the series. Mamma mia! And down goes Rojas. Patricio Pitbull has done it. That's an elbow that's come in there, you know. What a round. And he's wobbled again. He's got down after the bell. Big drama show continues, ladies and gentlemen.
Triple G sends a message to Canelo. Here we go, round number 1, heavyweight championship of the world. Ruiz comes to fire back, and Joshua's hurt. Joshua is hurt, he's staggered, and he goes down again. He says that's it. Andy Ruiz is the heavyweight champion. Wow, wow, wow.
DAZN and MLB present Change Up, the live whip-around show that changes how you watch the ballgame.
Every night, this is going to be the place to be.
Jump in and out of the best plays as they happen with our team of incredible hosts.
What?
And big-name guests.
Hunter Pence, you've done work. That's right. Rags Electric Factory. Wait, it's time for Bat Flip, boss. We're whipping them around, baby. Whip it, whip it.
Live every night, only on DAZN.
Move faster than the sun. horizon. Chance it all to feel alive.
Body's moving slow, spinning in the afterglow, dancing till the daylight. 'Cause this love is all night. This love is all right. This love is all night. This love is all right.
Breathe the air just like a fire, we can't control it. See explosions in the sky. Move faster than the sun over horizon. Chance it all to feel alive. Breathe the air just like a fire, we can't control it. See explosions in the sky. Move faster than the sun over horizon. Chance it all to feel alive.
A little beats there by DJ Frankie Moraldo on the ones and twos. We've been joined by a legend, a man that turned 75 years old yesterday, 18 years in the NFL, Matt Hasselbeck. How's it going, bud?
Great. Turned 44 last night, Pat. 44.
That's actually not that old, especially because you played 18 years in the NFL. You were around back whenever they were using standard def, I think was the standard. You know what I mean?
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. I used to complain all the time. I'm like, listen, we're studying film like 10 hours a day. We're watching film in standard def. My kids are watching freaking Dora the Explorer in high def. And I'm over here trying to break down Bill Belichick in whatever it is.
Is his foot left? Is that his left foot up or right foot up?
Yeah, you have no idea.
I think we can get a good read there on whether it's cover two or not. Or man, well, his feet are kind of blending together. Is there any way Elon Musk can get us a high definition film to watch during this $1 billion operation? Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Appreciate
We're going to launch into a new segment we launched yesterday. I'd like you to add into it if you need to.
I'm in.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a segment that's been sweeping the country and the world due to us being a global show.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, do we have the video?
I believe so, yes.
Go ahead, Foxy.
People are saying.
These are things that people are saying. We're not saying them. Ty Schmidt, take it away.
All right, Pat. People are saying that this is this weekend. Patrick Mahomes is going to Ford Field. It'll be the first time he's played indoors since he played at Jerry World in college. He threw for 586 yards, 6 touchdowns, no picks. Do you still think the Lions have a better chance to beat the Chiefs than the Bills do the Pats this weekend?
So yesterday I went on an entire run about how I think it's more likely that the Lions upset the Chiefs at home than the Bills are going to upset the Pats at home. I went on this entire vibe about how Matt Patricia has that locker room buying in to his way, which he wants to bring a little bit of the Patriot way, but build the Lion pride in his own way. I did not know this piece of information, that Patty Mahomes in the Texas shootout almost threw for 600 yards the last time he didn't have to deal with any wind or anything like that. It still doesn't change anything. I went up into Matt Patricia's office up there. He had a big-ass, blue-eyed lion staring over our shoulders. Yep. He's changed the entire thing there. Will he beat the Chiefs? No way. But I think it's much more likely that he'll make it happen than the Bills will beat the Patriots with McDaniels and Tom Brady and Belichick. Am I accurate there?
No, I think you're wrong.
I mean,
I'm sorry,
I feel
but
like
I'm not always right. I've been known to make a prediction that didn't come true, so it's okay.
He did want the ball.
You know that happened once.
Why do you think that?
Listen, I think both. I think the Chiefs and the Patriots win this week.
Yes,
I
we
really
all do. More likely, though.
But more likely, I just really think that. I guess I shouldn't say this. I'm creating like a conspiracy theory thing, but the Patriots.
I love when you do this. Last time he did this, he said Eli was going to the Jets. I like when you do this.
Patriots added a third quarterback this week. They added Cody Kessler. Like, why do you do that?
Because old buddy came in through a pick and Tom Brady had to play again.
That's not. I don't think that's why. I think that's easy to say that, but I think really more likely is that Tom Brady's probably not 100% this week.
So they want to be able
and that's normal. Listen. quarterbacks aren't 100% the entire year, but you just kind of protect yourself. Like the Philadelphia Eagles last week activated Nate Sudfeld, their third-string quarterback. Ooh, our antenna goes up a little bit. Like, is Carson Wentz 100% healthy? Like, maybe not. Probably not. And so, like, I'm just saying the best chance for the Bills to win this week is if for some reason the starting quarterback of the Patriots doesn't finish the game. So I will say, if I'm putting money on it, I would take the Bills
to beat the
be
Pats
the
instead of
upset.
the Lions and the Chiefs. Now, with that being said, there is a bet right now, a prop bet on FanDuel for will a dildo end up on the field in Buffalo, minus 140 for
Yes.
and even money.
for no.
I think you hammer the yes, by the way,
Yeah,
just
but
in hopes that the dildo makes it.
Think of that. That's kind of a weird thing. Like, you could bet on that, and then you could go throw one yourself. So,
yeah,
you know
something
what I'm saying?
to think about.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Chris Collinsworth did that with the slide in.
Yeah.
It was minus 10,000 or something on whether or not he would slide in. He was like, hey, Al, I'm just going to sit right next to you for this first one because we can all just pay for anything we'd like for the rest of the time. But if the dildo shows up, I think the Bills are more likely. If it doesn't show up, I'm still with the Lions over the Chiefs.
Interesting.
What else are people saying, Ty?
People are saying, and no one's saying this more loudly than me, that the Memphis Tourism Board could sell ice to Inuits.
Inuits are the proper term for Eskimos. Why are you saying that, Ty?
Well, I don't know. I always just assumed Memphis was this awesome place, fun to be. I mean, this place is a dump. I'll be honest.
Wow.
It is. So
What'd you do last night?
Listen to it. Wait till you hear this.
Dude, I had a fried chicken birthday cake last night.
Not everyone has the ESPN, frills. We had to go find this place 45 minutes away, and the food was okay. But we talked to this guy, asked him what we should do, where we should go. He said, Australian guy, active duty Navy. He said, you guys got to go check out Beale Street. Just make sure it's not after 10 p.m. because you four, guys like you won't fare well down there. You might get your throat slashed. You might get pickpocketed. You get roughed up real bad down there.
That's an amazing accent.
Oh, he's incredible. That's the only as soon as I got back, I had to record a podcast after not having a room and after doing the production dinner, your birthday.
Yeah.
And then I had to record a podcast. The boys are just like, wait till you hear this story. I was like, you know what? I think there's some nice parts of Memphis, but I think we've also seen every bad part of Memphis as well. On my walk from the hotel, I was supposed to have a room to the hotel I'm currently in, past the prison, past the methadone clinic.
Oh, we saw the guy getting arrested last night.
Yeah. I think we've seen every bad part of Memphis, but there's some good parts as well.
I thought Beale Street was great.
But we were there
before 10 o'clock.
Right, yeah, we didn't go down there. I didn't want my throat slashed. So.
There's a nice trolley system here. In fact, I think Saturday is trolley day, something like that.
I saw a homeless woman's boob in the middle of the day. It was 3 p.m.
See?
Right
That's
before
going to happen
lunch.
in any city, though. Also, what did he say about the stadium?
Oh, yeah. So we asked him, well, what about the stadium experience? That should be pretty sweet. He goes, oh, God, same deal. If you guys are down there, don't stray too far from the sidewalks. You might get, you might get your throat slashed. You get your wallet stolen. It's not great. Parking lot's great, though.
Which is good because
Wow.
for SeatGeek, they literally have to stroll around the stadium finding people to give tickets to. So
I kind of like it. I like downtown. I like you got the mighty Mississippi right here. You got the two bridges that take you over to Arkansas.
Yeah. I think we've seen some really good parts. Matt and I have got a chance to experience some very good here in Memphis in the last day. And also, I think we've seen some bad. I think it's just like any city. But, boy, that Australian accent needed to make an appearance on this show, and that was the only way we could really do it. What's the last thing people were saying?
That was the last one we had.
Okay, good. Let's get to you, Matt. By the way, people love that segment.
It's very good. That was an amazing accent.
Thank you.
What do you say? Don't make eye contact.
Hey, make sure you don't make eye contact down there. They do not like you guys' type. I'll tell you that.
Is this the first game we don't have an Australian punter?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, but the punter for Memphis is a 6'5" dude who's got a tattoo of a tiger on his forearm. I'm a big fan of him. He's reigning American Conference Punter of the Week or something like that. I'm a big fan of the specialist tonight.
The whole week.
Not just a day. He's not just punter of the day. He's punter of the week.
I think the most fascinating thing to me is that the starting holder for field goals is also the backup long snapper. No problem. I'm just a sophomore, 215 pounds. You're holding for field goals. Oh, our snapper's down. Can you go snap the ball against their nose tackle, who is 311 pounds?
Oh, my.
Good luck to you.
My holder, Jeremy Cash in college, was the backup long snapper as well. He came to West Virginia as a long snapper. He was a little bit undersized. He didn't know how he was going to get on the field, so he started holding. That became his thing.
I think that if you want to play in the NFL, your best chance is that as a long snapper.
I think so, too.
Because it's not one body type. And
now there's rules where you can't hit him really.
You can't even touch him. Can't even block him.
But you can't make any mistakes.
Yeah, you can't make any mistakes.
Can't make any mistakes.
And then
unless
you
you're
got to
10
be
years
able to
in.
go down and tackle like a Tyreek Hill or something. Like a great punt
not really.
return. No, not really.
Not really.
Okay, they don't expect you to do that.
Nah,
That's
just,
a bonus,
it's like
right?
a bonus.
Yeah, that's a bonus. If you can block, that's great. That'd be really good. But if you can tackle, that's just like, oh, you're going to get paid $1 million
Yeah.
a year if you can do that.
Yeah.
All they want is you just to snap.
What's minimum salary right now for a
Vet-
player in the NFL? Yeah.
Vet is $800, I think.
Yeah.
Because with the new CBA, it actually ended up hurting special team players that are vets because they saved $500,000 just taking a younger guy instead of an older guy. So your quarterbacks made more money. Everybody else got screwed.
But it's also easier if there's a listener out there that's trying to make it to the NFL and they say, hey, I could be a long snapper. That's cheaper labor. You're going to replace some guy that's been there making $800,000.
Yeah,
and you
you're
can come in and make $500,000.
Luke Rhodes, who's a snapper for the Colts right now, was a linebacker, practiced at the Colts for his first couple years on practice team. After practice would snap. Now he's a starting snapper, just got signed to another 3-year extension or something like that. They call him Rambo. Speaking of, get the merch now, store.patmcafeeshow.com. Good transition there.
American hero.
We're calling a game tonight.
Yes, we are.
We learned the triple option yesterday from the Navy.
Navy's offense is fascinating. Like, it's hard to follow. It's fun to watch. Their quarterback is incredibly athletic. And for some reason, when they do decide to throw, they are number 2 in the country right now in in passing. You know, like passing efficiency, yards per attack. I think they're averaging 21 yards of completion. So it'd be a good one. I'm glad I don't have to try to figure out how to stop them.
Yeah, me neither. And I don't think you can. The offense coordinator, I said this just a couple minutes ago, he referred to it as
Novocaine?
because
how'd you say it? It's the Remember the Titans quote from the movie.
Yeah, it might take a little bit, but it always works.
There you go. Yeah.
You know, Denzel Washington said we only got 3 plays. Only need to run these 3 plays. Navy literally has 2 plays, and it is very difficult to stop. They can be an explosive team out of nowhere because all you need is the Memphis defender to just lack discipline just a little bit, and bang, that thing's out the door.
I think the most fascinating thing I learned yesterday was, in the NFL, coaches call the play into the quarterback's helmet. In college, you don't have the ability to do that, so you have to have signalers. Usually it's like a backup quarterback. Well, Memphis, their signalers are they're equipment guys.
3
like 3 equipment guys from like Tennessee and Little Rock, right? Or wherever they're from.
Yes.
And literally, like if you're trying to steal the other team's signals, like you're trying, you got like guys on defense. Literally, we've got players at the Naval Academy who are trained in stealing signals from like the Taliban in Russia, now trying to break down and steal signals from these equipment guys from like Murfreesboro and Smyrna. Like
you got these Navy kids, they're like, you know what, Taliban and Putin, pretty easy to digest, but these 3 equipment managers from Memphis, we just can't figure out their signs. This is a big deal in college football, what I'm learning. I think what I've been most surprised by and shocked by is how serious the signing is for these teams. I mean, there's 5 people.
The hand signals.
Yeah. The signing, did I say that?
Yeah, just making sure. Like,
Well,
because
we
they
got
have
death
signs.
threats.
They have signs, but they also have like 3 signalers, like 3 third base coaches in baseball. They're over here like, giving all the signals.
And we did the Wake Forest game, which a couple years back suffered from the WikiLeaks, where one of their radio people was giving their plays away to another team. So now that has heightened
Paranoia.
Paranoia, there's the word. And it seems like every coach feels that way. They're like, oh, yeah, we got 5 guys that have to handle it. I'm like, who? And they're like, equipment managers. And we're like, that's a very interesting thing. I'm a big fan of equipment managers. I think they're the backbone of the team.
100%.
You're putting a lot of pressure, though, on these kids to get the signal right into your quarterback. Whenever you're making $4 million a year, and the whole city is relying on Memphis doing well, because Memphis, not a lot of great happening for them right now, but their athletics are doing well.
And I've actually been the signaler, was a backup quarterback. We were playing at West Virginia, actually, and I signaled in the wrong play. The coach says the play, hey, we're going scat right Waco, and I go scat right Yuma by accident, wrong signal. I'm freaking out. Thank God the play worked.
I think, Matt, you've made a lot less mistakes than you've made mistakes. And that's why for 44 years on this earth, you've been nothing but an outstanding gentleman. I can't wait for tonight in that booth, which is probably going to be too small. I'm not going to be able to see the field. Happy birthday to you. Thank you to everybody listening and watching worldwide. You're the absolute greatest. Navy at Memphis tonight on ESPN. Eagles at Packers. Aaron Rodgers about to pop off. Is Navy going to save America? Probably in the future. Tonight, will they save their undefeated season? We'll see. You've been listening to the Pat McAfee Show.